He just gave me a death glare. Vaughn did. Alright, welcome back to Crafty Mama. This is week 7 of our Veggie Garden walkthrough. It is July 19th. It's currently about 90 degrees out here. We did get quite a bit of rain the last couple of days, so we haven't had to water the gardens very much. We did get quite a bit of weeding done in the last week though. So we have our potato beds. We do still have one over on this side that we need to harvest. And then we have our sweet potato vines that are getting nice and big. Hopefully they'll start trellising over on the fence pretty soon. And then we have what looks like an empty tote. It was full of weeds. We did plant beans. I don't know if the beans are going to come up or if they already did and I accidentally pulled them when I pulled the weeds. So I do think I'm going to try to plant some more weeds in there this week and then go ahead and mulch it so we don't have to worry about the weeds as much. Over here, here's the same kind of thing. I pulled all the weeds in this bucket. I know for a fact I pulled at least one bean plant from there. This bucket's still flourishing, so I'm not even going to think about pulling this one yet. This one I just harvested. This one, the vine is starting to go up and around, so that will make a really nice, pretty bit on the fence until we have to move the fence. This one, I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet. I might try to grow beans off of it. Or I might try planting potatoes again and seeing if they'll come up maybe. I'm not sure. Zinnias are looking nice and pretty. Gladiolas are still not blooming, but they were full of weeds as well for the longest time. Most of this area in front of where the potatoes are was also full of weeds, all of like this mulch pit area. And so the boys and I came out and it took us a good part of a week, but we wound up getting most of it pulled out, doing different sections at a time. We would come out for like 20 minutes and pull weeds, and we go in for like 30 minutes to cool off because it got to be to the point where it's so humid. How's that? You gonna walk through the garden with me? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So we have our hyssop and our gazania. This gazania is actually, it's different ones, but this one's really pretty. It's really a deep purple on the inside. Chris found a hole.
Yeah.
So this is all the hyssop, and the pollinators are absolutely loving it. I don't know if I can do anything with it besides just having pollinators attracted to it, but if that's all it is, that's fine. So I'll come back to this one because this one's really exciting to me. But we do have some pepper plants finally making. No baby pepper there. I need to come out. I've been trying to stay on top of getting all the leaves and stuff, but with also doing the weeding and everything, it's kind of gotten behind. So I need to come out and at least get the peppers done. I did get a lot of the tomatoes, the extra ones of those done, simply because my leaves were curling to the point where they were basically just dying back. And so I took off a good portion of the stems. And this one looks pretty much like it's dead. It's not, but that's what it looks like for right now. It does have this other section here that comes up, and it's grown even since I did it, so I'm not too worried. It just seems like this year, for some reason, the tomatoes are taking forever. This pepper plant is just absolutely covered in little flowers. This is going to be my ancho pepper, so this one should be good. I'll probably dice it up for some chilies, and then also freeze some of it and I might try to dehydrate some of it and add it into my taco seasoning as more of like a smoky flavor, because we have our sugar that we can smoke on. And then our Swiss chard, one of them anyway. There's an actual white one down but by the tomato down there. And then we have this pink one that came in the rainbow one, and Vaughn's been eating it. Or throwing it on the ground. I'm not sure why he's attacking it like that. But anyway, Vaughn has been eating it. We've been giving some of it to the chicks. We got like 1.5 inches of rain in like an hour one day. And we came out and this thing was just absolutely like sprayed all over. And so the chicks got a lot of Swiss chard that day. So I said I was doing this one for my last because it was super exciting. So I thought for the longest time when it was first coming up that this was another type of eggplant, because I have the typical purple eggplant. I also have a Casper eggplant. And in the different mulchings and stuff, we've lost a lot of the labels that I made. So I used my plant finder on it. Finally remembered to bring out my phone. It's not an eggplant. It's a sesame seed plant. And it already has flowers on it. Which is super exciting, because one of the things that I wanted to do this year was grow as much as of the seasonings for the everything bagel seasoning as I could. And there's actually a little baby one down here too. A couple of them. So I don't know how well those will work out being so close. I actually planted them in the laundry basket, so I'm not sure how they wound up over here. But that's okay. I don't even care. So I'm super excited. The flowers are really, really pretty. They kind of remind me of the lupin flowers. I don't know. I haven't smelled them yet. Let's see. I don't really notice the smell with those. For other greens bed, we have our spearmint and our purple basil. I did harvest some of that. I'm hoping it'll bush out a little bit by doing so. Our butter lettuce, we were able to get quite a few salads off of it, and we could have gotten more. Bowen actually tried some of it. This is bolted. That's what this is. These are the flowers that will eventually make the seeds, and that's why I left this, was because I wanted to make sure that we had seeds from our garden. But Bowen tried it, and he said that it tasted okay. So we might like pull off a few leaves at a time, as long as we have the flowers. That's all I care about. And then if it's bitter, then we just won't use it. I did cut off quite a bit of the outside leaves of this cauliflower, and you can see they're getting eaten on again. Don't know. I don't see any of the little caterpillars. So far I'm also not really seeing any like flower growth, which would be what the cauliflower is. It could just be that it's too hot. And then we have more of the Swiss chard. This one was really bent over. This one actually can get pulled off. You can give this one to the chicks. They'll enjoy that one. And give these to the chicks. And then, so we have another tomato here that has just now started getting really big, so I haven't really done much with it yet. I think Bowen's smacking his brother with the Swiss chard I just gave him. We have our sweet potato vine, which I'm hoping I can have go like this and then go up the trellis, and just get a little bit longer. We do finally have some tomatoes. I trimmed this tomato plant back a lot as well, but you can see we do have the start. These are some of my paste tomatoes. We're gonna have to roll that. Technical issues here. So this is my eggplant. Last year I had an eggplant plant, and I got one eggplant off of it. That was all I got. And they do take a long time, but this one has like a ridiculous amount of buds. So I am hoping that I get more than one this year. It is very happy in this pod. I think that I might have found what eggplant's like. There's one of the flowers. So that's super exciting. I can't wait for that to come up. And then this, and I seem to remember having issues with this last year. I don't think I planted it, but I only have it in 2 beds, so I don't know. This is actually wild wandering Jew. So I have wandering Jew. It's a purple variety. So when it gets sunlight on it, it turns the top part of the leaf, or whatever you see of the leaf, purple. This, because it's a wild wandering Jew, this one actually flowers and everything, which I think is really, really pretty. And it's helping cut down some of the weeds around my eggplant, which I'm hoping will also help with production. This tomato, just like the other ones, is finally starting to make some flowers. I'm not seeing any baby tomatoes on that one quite yet, but since the rest of them are finally doing it, I have faith that it will work. So this is another one of my pepper plants. I apparently tore that one off, but didn't actually take the entire stem out. I caught that on my microphone line. All right, so this one, you can see down in here, is starting to get little flowers. So when I talked about the squash plants, they have female flowers and male flowers. Pepper plants and tomato plants are different. So those actually have the components to make their fruit all in one blossom. So the way that it makes it is, when the wind hits it, the male, which is closer to the stem part of it, drops its part down onto the female, which then obviously it fertilizes and it creates the fruit. If it gets to be too hot, obviously the blossoms will just fall off. You won't have any fruit. In Kansas, where we are, smack dab in the middle of it, our breeze is like 15 miles an hour. And I have known people that have come to Kansas from other states, and they're like, I don't know how you deal with this wind. And I'm going, what wind? 6 o'clock apparently. So we don't have an issue with them being pollinated. However, if you do live in a state that apparently gets absolutely no airflow, you can come out, like we have ours in the tomato cages, and we have 2 different sizes of tomato cages. We have the small ones and we have the big ones. You can also use like hog panels or hardware cloth or something like that to make your own if you wanted to. Hardware cloth would be a little bit more difficult since it has really, really small holes. But all you do is just shake it. Now you don't want to like vigorously shake it until the stems break off, obviously. But just shaking it, all of these, and what it's going to do is it's going to drop that pollen to then fertilize it so that you can have your fruit. Tomatoes and peppers also like to be fertilized with banana tea. Oh, or Chris is having issues with banana tea, which is basically, if after you've eaten the banana, you take the peel, you put it in some water, and you just let it ferment. And then you can pour that all over. Most plants honestly like the potassium that you get from the banana tea. And then we always save our eggshells. We throw probably about half into the compost bin, and then the other half we keep and we dry in the oven or on the counter or however we need to do it that time. We crumble it up so that they're about like that. Well, that's what this is. And then we just sprinkle it. And then as it waters, or as we water, then those nutrients slowly ebb their way in, and it helps with the pepper plants and tomato plants budding more, as well as producing more, being able to fertilize more. So it's just an overall good thing to do. I usually put some in when I first transplant them, and then about halfway through the season, and then if I'm starting to notice like blossom end rot or something, then I'll add some in before we start pulling the plants out as well, to get that last little harvest out. So this one, I'm seeing the buds. I'm not even seeing an open flower on this one. But this one, last time I took a video, it didn't have anything, really. So that's super exciting. This one has its first tomato. And then we put some of the basil down here. I actually need to, I'm going to come down, I'm going to chop it really far down there so that it'll bloom out. This one, you know, I was thinking it might be a good thing we have to move our fence because we have this blue bucket here and it is just not in a good place to get the amount of sun that it needs with having our huge elderberry here. So maybe it's a good thing that we have to move things. But our elderberry is just making a ridiculous amount of berries. These will be flowers here soon. So this just popped through. We have berries up there. We have berries down here. And eventually they will turn like a purplish color. And then I'll just cut this stem completely. And I'll stick that entire thing in the freezer. And then once it's frozen, those will just pop right off. They say that it makes it a little bit easier to get it off of the stem because they are so tiny. Otherwise you wind up having like purple fingers basically. You want to take that and put it in on the counter? Mm-hmm. Thank you. So this is our broccoli and cabbage bed. I did come through and I cut back some of the broccoli leaves because it was getting so tall that it was hard for this to stay down. And so far, this has worked, even with the little holes that are in there. So far, this one's worked amazing. We have 3 really decent sized cabbages. The one on right there is actually already compacting down into an actual head. And the next one compacting down is this one. And then the last one that is still pretty open is this one. But they all have really good foliage. Even the broccoli leaves that I pulled off were really, really good. I'm actually tempted. I think what I want to do is use the broccoli leaves in some salad and then use the stems because they're really sturdy and stout. And cut the... Is that a cicada shell?
Yeah.
Oh, give it to the chicks.
Lines.
Yeah, it does.
It's cool.
Cut that up and put it in the freezer. And then we do a like a Christmas Eve soup every year on Christmas Eve, and it has broccoli in it. So I can use that for the broccoli bits, I think. We're gonna try it anyway. Alright, so our morning glory trellis is getting more morning and glorying it. We do have just a few pea plants that we planted after we harvest all the rest of them coming up. That one up there. Now, in previous videos, you would have seen, we're going to be happy with the peas. In previous videos, you would have seen on the ground around here some morning glories. And you don't, because I pulled all of them up. I kept tripping on them. And because I'm a klutz anyway, I decided best to be safe than sorry. So I pulled all of those up. All of them that I could, we started trellising over because flowers are never a bad thing. Now morning glories are invasive. So, and you can see down, like in the trellis, we have even more. But for right now, I'm not using in here anyway, and this is one of them that we're going to have to move when we move the fence. So, not too awful worried about it. Our loofah over here is looking great. I am not, like the greens are looking great. I haven't found any baby loofahs yet. I'm hoping I do.
That one?
Nope, that's a morning glory. Now I do have... What? Oh, yes. I do have these, and they're on this one and on the one over in the cottage garden. So maybe that's what it is, and it like loofahs take forever to grow. So, I don't know. This is the first year that we've actually even had one come up and stay alive. So it should be interesting. We have even more peas coming up on this side, and we kind of just used our hand rake and like separated out the soil a little bit and then just sprinkled the peas on, so they're not going to be right by the fence. It probably would have been a little easier to harvest them and to trellis them if they were, but they're not. The blueberries aren't doing much, so I'm really not going to show you any of that. We did spray them down with a fungicide. We'll spray them down every 2 weeks. Those and the rhubarb, because rhubarb was getting some rust of these as well. Hopefully that takes care of it. Now I did say that we weeded a lot, and we did. We have weeded a ton. This area right here, we have not, and then back here. And this is getting tall enough. I'm honestly thinking I'm just gonna have Chris take the weed eater to it, and have him go like around my daylilies so he doesn't hit those, but just weed all of this that way, at least to get it down low enough so that we're not surprised by some critter trying to get to us. Our marshmallow is very happy. I am very, very happy with the way this one came out. Now this is pretty much the only one that we have that have survived this long. I'm not sure why, but it is very happy. This pepper plant, this one, we will actually probably pull off the next day or so. And then we have, oh no we don't. It fell on its own. Or something ate it. Apparently something ate that one. Darn. Probably give that one to the, I'm gonna go give this one to the chicks, Papa.
Yes.
And then I have some peas for you.
Okay. Can you hold on?
Yeah, I'll hold them. But this one's full of blossoms as well. So I have high hopes that this one's going to do just fine. We might need to maybe eventually trellis my marshmallow up. I'm not sure. We did already harvest one zucchini off of this one. We are still having a little bit of an issue with the squash bugs. You know, we're doing the best that we can at this point. I did have to resort to using 7 because I couldn't get them to die any other way. This leaf will get, ouch. Squash plants are pokey. This one will get sent to the chicks because those are squash bug eggs and they think that they are a delicacy. And then pretty much the only thing that survived in here is our cat grass. Let me check these leaves. Like I said before, we had a pretty decent storm. So most of the damage that you're seeing to the leaves, these especially, were out from the storm and not the squash bugs. I can't even pick that one up without hurting myself, so we're just gonna leave that one for now. I'll come back out and look at it.
Actually ate some of the apple.
You can see here we do have another
Fun.
zucchini. Ouch, smacked my head.
Take that to the chicks.
It's a boogie.
A little bit.
It's not bad.
Okay.
And then we have some more of our sunflower heads that the petals have fallen off of. So at this point, we can cut these down, and you rub your hand over this, and it knocks all of that bit off. And then you can hang it, and I'm going to make some treats for the chicks, as well as some salty treats for us. Try to roast it, and then also try to take them out of the shell, because that's how my mom prefers them. But this, I think we've already pulled off 2 or 3 heads, and it's still absolutely covered. These plants are absolutely covered. I don't think we've pulled off more than 1 or 2 on this one, but we still have a whole bunch that are closed still. So we have our volunteer tomatillo plants down there on the ground. They kind of got beaten up by the storm. I left them. I figured if they come back, cool. If they don't, they're a volunteer. It's not like I was planning on them. Our artichokes, the grasshoppers have hopefully finally started leaving them alone. Our basil over here looking really good. We've pulled quite a few sunflowers from our sunflower field over here and have them downstairs drying for right now. And then this is a ground cherry. So ground cherries are tomatillos, but they're cherry tomato size. So tomatillos are in the tomato family, but they have a husk around them. And you know that ground cherries specifically are done if the husk around it is brown, because they start out as green. And they literally look like little balloons. So far I haven't seen any of the ground cherries produce anything yet. Oh, here you go. Get touch with me, Hind. This thing is absolutely huge, and it was also volunteer. It is just very, very happy, and I honestly probably should have cut this down considerably when it first started popping up, and I didn't, so it's just kind of taken over. We had a casualty over here. We had some of the sunflowers that had like the orange center in them. They're super, super pretty. The storm came through, and that's what those broken stalks are there. It just completely demolished them. So we went ahead and cut those down, and I have some of them drying for the chicks, and then I have some of them drying for us as well. Strawberries are very, very happy. They're completely green. They definitely enjoy having the shade of the strawberry or the sunflowers on them. Asparagus. Now in the cottage garden, we have most of them tied up, if not all of them. These we do not yet, and we need to, because they are starting to lean over and get a little crazy. Just hasn't happened yet. I don't know what that is. I don't think that's a bumblebee. Anyhow, so we actually need to come out and harvest some of the cukes. We got rain yesterday, like mid-afternoon, and so I didn't want to harvest right after the rain and have the flavor of the cucumbers be diluted, basically. So I left them. We do have plenty on here that I need to get harvested and taken in before they start getting yellow, basically, because they're getting too old. So I'll either do that probably tonight or tomorrow. You probably swallowed it. Our onions, some of them are getting to the point, like here, that I could start pulling them. It's on the to-do list. This is phlox. It should have like pinkish purple flowers. So far it's not doing anything yet. This one, the sunflower, I think we just need to cut down. I don't see any new heads on it. We pulled that big head off like a while ago. So I think this one's pretty much done. It just needs to go. Now I did plant more carrots, more radishes, and some beets over in this area. We need to go ahead and get all of this mulched as well with just some grass mulch like we did before. We have this one here that I'm going to leave for a couple more days. We have a smaller one. All of these. And then this one hasn't quite opened yet. And so the flower will open. This is okra. The flower will open. This cord is more hassle than it's worth. The flower will open and then it'll die back, and then that's when you get your fruit. Are you done with your peas and stuff? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So we have a couple of huge sunflower heads here. And this one, we do have, I think there's more heads starting to grow on that one. So that one we can leave. Here's another pepper plant. I have 3 in here. One of them I actually transplanted from over there because I wanted to be able to dig all of that out. Haven't noticed any peppers yet, but they are starting to blossom, so that's exciting. This one's another one that we cut the head off of. We just need to finish taking it down. I would say pull it, but those things are horrible to have to pull, hurt your back, and most of the time it doesn't even do any good. So, something new from the last video is these beds. So we had a volunteer's pumpkin plant, and we do actually have some pumpkins on there. So I left it. I don't know exactly what we're going to get. When it gets up to the trellis, I'll actually clip it onto the trellis. Yeah, hold on. But alright, technical difficulties. So over here, like I said before, and it apparently didn't record, we have a volunteer pumpkin, I almost said watermelon, that we do have watermelon on, or geez, Louise, pumpkins on. We have things growing. It's almost to the point where I can trellis it over the archway. The rest of this was weeds. So I weeded all of it, and then Vaughn and I came out and we planted, I believe, between this long bed and then we have this corner bed over here as well. I think we have about 6 cabbages. We have 5 broccoli plants and 4 cauliflower. And so I'm trying to do the same thing I did over in that other bed, and try to keep the moss and everything off of them. It also seemed to help a little bit with the weeds, although we did go ahead and mulch over there. So we will mulch in here with just some grass. The green tool does come all the way up the back, come over, and then come back down so that it encompasses all of that. And then I just have some wood that we had laying around and some bricks to hold the big portions down, and then I clipped using clothespins, the separate pieces together. I don't know. We'll see if it works. This bed won't be able to stay here when we have to redo our fence. So when we do finish the fence, I might think of a different way of doing it. But for right now, this works. We'll see if it happens. If we get more cabbages and cauliflowers and stuff, I'll be ecstatic. If not, I'll learn from it. But while Chris was getting another bale of hay for the boys, because they're mulching over in our new corn patch, I looked over here, realized that I didn't do anything over here by our other pumpkin plant, and realized we have our very first red tomato. So this is my spoon tomato, and you can see where they have, like, this one section has all of these, and this is about as big as they get. They're also called currants, or currant tomatoes. First time I've ever grown these, so let's see if it's sweet or tart. I gum out of my mouth. That's almost like sweet, like candy. That'll be really, really good. Definitely high acidity though. That, like, I kind of burned the tongue. Only because I have geographic tongue. But, so, this plant apparently is very happy. But this plant's leaves never did curl. I'm not sure why. But anyways, so that was really exciting. Had my first tomato of the season, and it's, you know, only the middle of July. We don't have anything in the greenhouse anymore. We're actually going to take the greenhouse apart because we realized that because we live in Kansas, because it gets to be 100 degrees outside, we were using all possibilities to shade it and to cool it, and it only works up to a certain extent. We needed more airflow. And so we need to have some sort of longer run for the chickens. Their chicken run is like this, and there's going to be 6 of them in there. If they're all pullets, I'm not sure what they are at this point because we're getting confused. But anyway, so we're going to take that apart. We're going to use the frame and the cattle panels over here to make a walk-in run for them. We're going to get some chicken wire to put, or some hardware cloth or something to put over the top, on top of having the cattle panels. And then we're going to build, was it a 12 by 16?
10 by 16.
10 by 16 barn style, so that we will be able to roll up the sides as well as have the window and the door. And because it has a little bit straighter on the sides, I think I'll have a little bit more storage area as well, which would be nice. So the last thing we have in Veggie Garden is our grape, and it is very happy. Obviously I won't get grapes this year. I might use some of the leaves in my pickles to keep them crisp. I don't know. Kind of depends on if the boys will allow me to have enough cucumbers that I can make pickles out of, because I picked them and they're gone in a couple of days. So I guess we can go over and show you the chicks and see how big they've gotten. We're still fighting them to go in their coop at night. Chris had read somewhere where you should leave them in the coop for a week before you let them out into the run the first time. Our coop isn't big enough, I don't feel like, to do that. They would just feel really, really squished. And so we let them out in the mornings, we fill all of their stuff. It looks like their water and food needs filled again. And then right now we're fighting them to get back into the coop. I'm hoping we can train them a little bit at a time and get them to go. I'm also not positive at this point which ones are pullets and which ones are roots, because I read one thing and I'm sure that it's this way, and I read another thing, and I don't know. So I guess as they get older, and if they crow, then we'll know they're a rooster, and we'll have to get rid of it because we're not allowed roosters here. So hopefully by then we'll know what we're doing at that point. Alright, so I believe that is it. You gotta come over here though. I think that's it for the veggie garden. Next up we're gonna go record for the cottage garden, and I'll show you the new corn patch. That's where Bowen's currently mulching because the grass has kind of gotten crazy. Weeding over here, we've kind of taken time away from over there. And we'll kind of show you the front bed areas and go from there. So until next time.